All right, class, before I get to our point and objective of what we're talking about today, we're going to do a little activity, okay? Now, in this activity, you're going to, it's called draw a bug, okay? Now, I can't repeat, well, I'm going to repeat these steps twice, excuse me. Say it once, give you about 3 or 4 seconds, and say it again. Can't ask questions, can't talk to your neighbor, can't look at your neighbor's paper, okay? All right, everybody ready? There's 10 steps. All right, I'm just going to describe the bug, okay? And when you're done, ready for the next step, just look back up at me. Number 1, the bug is round. Number 2, the bug has 8 legs, grouped in pairs with 4 legs on the left and 4 legs on the right. In the pairs, 1 leg is longer than the other.
It would actually be an arachnid.
Technically, yes. The bug has 2 eyes on top of the body. The bug has 2 squiggly antennae. The bug has 2 pea-pod-shaped wings. The bug has 2 pea-pod-shaped wings. The bug has a spot next to each wing. The bug has a spot next to each wing. The bug has a triangular stinger on the bottom of the body. The bug has a triangular stinger on the bottom of the body. The bug has 2 feelers on each foot, one longer than the other, both coming from the same side of the leg. The bug has 2 feelers on each foot, one longer than the other, both coming from the same side of the leg. The bug has a round mouth placed between the 2 eyes. Round mouth placed between the 2 eyes. The last step, the bug laid 5 square eggs to the left of the stinger. The bug laid 5 square eggs to the left of the stinger. All right, when you're done, hold it up, look at your neighbors, compare each other's. Everybody's probably gonna look a little different. That's the point of this exercise. All right, now it should look something similar to this. And it can be any variation of that. It's how you interpret it. You can't already tell this workshop is about listening skills. What made this activity tough on you guys?
Had to listen.
Had to listen. Okay.
I couldn't see the picture.
Exactly. It's all in your mind. You have to visualize what I'm saying. Anything else?
But you weren't allowed to like repeat it, so we had to.
You don't say it twice. And you weren't allowed to ask questions. That's a big thing. The two feelers on each foot, I almost said that those are kind of like toes on a bug or its feet, sort of. But since you couldn't ask me that question, or since I couldn't say anything to you, it made it a lot harder, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're just going to talk about some basic listening skills. Actually, before we do that, Mitch, where are your markers? We're going to get into 3 groups of 5. How's that sound?
Great.
3 groups of 5.
Done.
Backwards recruit. You just want to do, let's do, each row will be a group. How's that sound?
Oh, yeah.
And each group is going to brainstorm, before I tell you the characteristics of a good listener, they're going to brainstorm what you guys think are characteristics of a good listener and what a good listener needs to have, needs to do in order to understand a message correctly.
Oh, we express that on the flip chart. Let's write it out.
Yep. Write it out. So if you want to do, let's say, an idea map or word map, if you will. Pick color and color. Okay. Mitch.
Woo!
Pass it right back to you. And you can take about 3 to 4 minutes to do this. 3 to 5 minutes. So y'all go on and brainstorm. Write down whatever you think incorporates being a good listener.
Let's
Go on.
You don't want me to do it?
Let's see.
Be awake.
Be awake.
Listener
Good attention or good attention span
isn't concerned with his or her response as much as he or she is like concerned with like understanding. Like a good listener doesn't really care about like crafting a response when they're in a conversation with someone, like what can I say to this? But rather they're thinking like, what is the person going to tell me? You know, like that. So like,
It's good.
That's actually called not rehearsing a response.
oh,
We just learned about that in my other class yesterday.
cool. Nod, yeah.
Not rehearsing a response.
Because like in a debate, that's all that is. It's like,
Thank you, sir.
you have where the conversation's going to go and already have that response ready. Good listening is just.
Also, look out for future questions.
Who does that? Oh, no, who does that? No, we're good, we'll fill that.
Should I put take notes?
One thing I have a problem with is like getting caught up on something they said.
Try and fill up the page as much as you can, as much information.
Don't talk. Would it be more something like really simple of what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
I say really silly things in other people's presentations.
Oh, you're right.
If
I think it's pretty.
No, yeah, definitely.
this is filled with the flip chart.
like that.
This is how I learn. You're criticizing my learning style.
Actually, I read a myth in psychology that says that the whole kinesthetic is like bullcrap.
The camera is
It's not
right
true.
there.
It is.
I just would like you to be aware that that looked really good until you started.
What do those psychology people know anyway?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Me too.
Maybe there needs
Does
to
it?
maybe there needs to be like a need for you to listen. Yes. There has to be something there for you to listen.
Gosh, people.
You're on fire. You're killing it.
It doesn't do that. It doesn't use filler words.
Really well, or it's just like 30.
Doesn't do like what? As in That's true.
Is that a listening skill?
Well,
That is a listening
You got about
skill.
2 more
I think it's a
minutes.
listening
About 2
skill
more
because I
minutes.
think that
Finish
means
up.
you weren't listening. If somebody has just talked to you and you're like,
that's me.
I don't really remember what you just said.
Okay, then what is the
Oh.
skill behind that?
Information recall.
Don't think about other stuff. Is that,
Yes.
There we go. See, this is why we gotta keep your one more.
This looks good. I'm interacting in your workshop. You're doing good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a good listener, that means you're showing the person speaking that you're actually listening. So that would be
Ask how to apply.
Killing it.
Oh,
So like your
good.
communication is just
They're doing good.
important as you're listening. Like, don't wait, yeah.
Sorry.
I know. I'll do that pink one.
No, we still got a few more.
Look at that. Listening skills.
What is that?
I was just talking to you.
Oh, it's rappers. That what you're saying?
Yeah. And I had a pink marker.
Yeah, here you go. Oh shoot.
Alright, about 30 more seconds to wrap it up.
These are good for elementary school.
Or the dentist. Like the stuff they put like in your teeth. Like,
Oh.
and then they're like, oh, this is nasty. I wish I could take a cookie dough.
Alright, is everybody finished?
Like,
Yes, no? Alright, I need 1%er from each group to bring your flip chart up here, put it on the whiteboard, and discuss your characteristics of a good listener. On any board.
yeah, you go, Nancy. Front and center, honey.
oh, it took me a week work. Oh.
So,
Okay, since Mitch is here already here in the front, I guess he can go first.
characteristics of a good listener are as follows according to our group. They don't rehearse their response in that they're not thinking about the next thing they need to say compared to actually saying something and a qualitative response when they're in a conversation, debate, negotiation, whatever. They pay attention to nonverbal cues so they're able to read what the language of the person actually speaking them is with them actually not having to like decipher the words but see through their body motion, their eye movements, that kind of thing. They don't talk when the other person's talking, so that's just a simple rule we should all follow. They don't create distractions, so good listeners, even though they might have different ways of like processing the information in general, they can create an environment in which they're actually learning and listening by doing their own creative thing. They remember the information. They don't have to say or they don't have to like get caught like a deer in the headlights when they're trying to recall information. They're always making eye contact because that's also a good nonverbal thing. That's you showing your own non-word communication that you're on board, and it's just as important as listening. So.
Alright, thank you, Mitch. So, if y'all wants to go first.
We have a lot, so we'll go. Thanks for being a good listener. You should take notes so that you remember what you're being taught, because it's most likely important if you're having to sit there and listen to it. You should definitely give your undivided attention. Your presenter is there for a reason. No talking while your presenter is talking. You should always give feedback when they ask for it. You should ask how to apply this in your real world situations. Participate, care, be considerate of the speaker. good body language. Don't be slouching like you don't care what's going on. Ask questions. Be engaged. Be awake. Don't be sleeping while your presenter's up there. You should be patient. Don't be like, oh, I gotta go get lunch. Like, you know how people are in church, like they're waiting on the preacher, you gotta go. Have a good attitude. You need to be able to focus, make eye contact, and show empathy. And that's ear.
So we said our first one was eye contact, because if you're not looking at someone when they're talking to you, then you're probably not listening to them. You're thinking about whatever else you're looking at. A good attention span. So I guess if you're listening to someone, you want to try to keep focused on them. The person who's talking wants to be thorough, and then the person who's listening wants to be thorough too, so you're listening to everything they're saying. And an active listener, kind of like thorough, you want to be listening to every detail. Keep it simple. The person talking, should probably keep it simple and not be too over the top, so that the person that's listening isn't sitting there thinking, wait, what did they say, when they're continuing to talk. So you don't want to leave anybody behind when you're talking. And then the person who's listening needs to have a desire or a need to want to listen to them. And then stay open-minded. So.
Good.
Thank you guys, especially to the presenters. Now, you got some handouts for you about basic listening skills, and you guys have definitely covered all of them that are on this sheet. And we're just going to go through the rundown of them here real quick. Everybody has their sheet. I'm just gonna read through them real quick here. Characteristics of a good listener. Number one, focus attention on the speaker. Put aside your mental distractions and make an effort to think about what is being said. Number two, mentally summarize. After something is said, take a moment to assess whether you clearly understand it or not. How many times have you been in class and the professor says something and it's just way over your head? A lot. Okay. If you understand it or you don't understand it, it goes vice versa in the same situation. Number three, take notes and ask questions. How many times have you been on the telephone with either your boss or parent? They give you specific instructions to do something in a certain way. You hang up the phone and 5 minutes later you're calling them back because you can't remember what directions they gave you. I know I do that all the time. So take notes, especially when on the telephone, whether it be at work or with just somebody you respect and need to take notes on what they want you to do. And by asking questions, you confirm your understanding of the message that's being portrayed by the speaker. 4 common reasons for ineffective listening. Number one, a listener is fearful to the point of not being able to pay attention. For example, you sit down in a class, say you're a freshman here at UT, first day of classes, you sit down, the professor starts out, welcome class, it's probably going to be the toughest class you take at UT. What's your thought process right then? When's the drop date? Do I need to drop? What grade? What's the grading scale in this class? Do I need to give it to other people to study in a group? Things like that. Number 2, listeners think they already know what is being said. I know you go through high school, middle school and high school, you go through classes, whether it be biology, chemistry, you've already learned it, you're just relearning and adding on to it, so people may not care exactly to learn a second time, I guess. Number 3 is immediate judgment on what is being discussed has no value. And number 4, formulating a response. For example, this as a little kid, remember when you asked to go and play down the street or stay out till 8 o'clock at night, and your parents said no, or gave you an excuse right when they said that their response, you're already formulating a response of your own to fire back at them to say, well, but everybody's going to be there, or whether it's you just turned 16, you got your license, everybody's going to go to so-and-so's house, things like that. You're already formulating a response in order to try and get your way and get ultimately what you want. And 2 ways to help improve your listening skills. Number 1, having an attitude, like we said, of openness or being open-minded. And number 2, giving the speaker respect. Like I said, you guys already did a great job and listed everything and more that I've covered on this sheet. So thank you guys for your participation today. If anybody doesn't have any questions, I'm finished.
All right, yeah.